So, if you are watching this video, your ancestors are either talking to you or they are attempting to talk to you. I know this is so because before I started this video, I attuned that only those who had that as a true situation would show up to this video. So, I'm going to share with you a little bit about ancestor work. I'm going to share a bit with you about how you can connect with your ancestors or ancestry if that's something that calls to you or has been calling to you lately. So, one of the first things I'd like to invite us to do is demystify the concept of connecting with our ancestors. Because I think a lot of spiritual, metaphysical, consciousness work like this can sometimes be a bit, easy to idealize or easy to turn into something outside of yourself. I think we do this a lot with almost any kind of concept, right? When you're thinking of things like guardian angels, or you're thinking of things like heaven or hell, or you're thinking of just concepts outside of yourself, what we sometimes end up doing is we start projecting our power onto external things. When from another perspective, we're really just playing with ourselves. It was put once that everything is ultimately just a permission slip for you to access your own power within yourself. So if we look at it from that perspective or that case, you could look at your ancestors as the coding within yourself, the encoding in your very physical DNA that has been switched on or off or adjusted this way or that way over many, many, many generations of your previous ancestors making choices of embodiment in their lives that they've literally worked into their cells, the patterns of your cells, the patterns that you were gifted, that you were granted as you became embodied. And, a lot of times I almost see it like if you look at bodies like biological vehicles, it's almost like you're, congratulations, here's all the software and hardware from everybody in all your lineages, have at it. And but it's almost like having this really interesting handwritten notes, right, about how all the different systems in the body work. And if you have, like, let's say, patterns in your family history where people repressed certain things, maybe your body has a certain tick, or you emotionally, subconsciously repress things. Because we sometimes not only inherit that, when we're babies, we are physically imprinting with our parents. Like, we learn our nervous system regulation through connecting with the parents, and they learned through connecting with their parents, and so on, so on, and so forth. And so we pick up things subconsciously, we pick up things physiologically from the environments we're in, and especially when we are younger, very much so. And again, many times, in parents and families and in these situations, everyone on some level is acting out something that they were taught, consciously or unconsciously. And so when you're coming across a video like this, you're almost being invited into an opportunity to approach something consciously in your life. And in a lot of ways, ancestor work is about both celebrating and observing and acknowledging all the different pieces that have come together to create the fabric experience of us on some level. And oftentimes it's through our connection or our reconnection ancestrally that we not only remember, let's say, latent gifts or abilities that we naturally have that maybe we just didn't tap into, or we sometimes discover conscious or unconscious reasons that we may be behaving in certain ways, or we may have certain tendencies, or we may discover when I hear people say they've broken ancestral curses, a lot of times what I'm hearing is they've identified a pattern and they've repatterned it within themselves because they became conscious of it. And there's something that happens with our subconscious when we are actively engaging in these ways with our ancestry. So what does that mean, to actively engage? This could mean anything from, you're looking at pictures, you're creating the food, you're visiting some of the countries, where your ancestors are from, you're interacting with family heirlooms, you're talking to members of the family or older members of the family that have stories and histories of your family. These are some of the different ways you can interact with your ancestors, your ancestry. It can even just be, things like you're looking at your family tree, or you're writing down stories, or, transcribing notes. There is something to stories, just purely as humans. There's something to the stories that we hear, that we receive in our lives. And our family ancestry is a story. It's a story of us. So more recently, I've been invited in my own life to do some more ancestry work. And, it wasn't something that I specifically thought a lot about for a little while. And probably within about the last several years, it started becoming more and more apparent to me. It just started popping up. This is something that happens. For example, a video like this pops up, or someone starts talking to you about your grandparents, or suddenly you inherit like a bunch of things. There's all these different ways that it can show up in your life. But whenever it's a person's time to be aware of it, then it shows up. And the big message that feels important in this video, as we're talking about connecting with your ancestors, the title itself, calling out, hey, the ancestors are wanting to get in touch with you. If you have felt a resonance, with this video, with the concept of connecting with your ancestors, or maybe you already are, then the invitation here is you can go deeper, or you can start. Be deliberate connecting with your ancestors. You have some very powerful ancestral energy that is ready to be integrated, to be seen, to work with you, to be more actively and consciously involved in your life. But it takes our awareness and our choice to be aware of it and then choose from there. So it feels like you're being invited to do so. And so what I would invite, or at least what I would be doing in that position, is if it felt resonant to me, I would perhaps do a meditation and do some journaling. And then like every night I might go, okay, I'm calling in awareness from my ancestors. I'm calling in what messaging would like to come through. Or I would just start writing about how I feel about my ancestors. If nothing's coming through, if I'm not hearing anything, okay, what does it feel like? What do I know about my ancestors? What do I care about? What do I think about when I think of the land? What comes to mind? What are some, symbols? What are some things my parents told me? What are some things my aunts or uncles told me? What are some of the artifacts that I know? And you just write and speak. If you don't write, then sometimes what I do is I turn on a recorder and I'll just start speaking at it. I'll just speak at it. And like nowadays they have a bunch of AI that'll, even give you highlights or keywords, like what is it you said the most? What was emphasized here? And you can sometimes look through those recordings and go, oh, what was being said? There are a lot of ways for you to tap into this. I'm just going to congratulate you because, again, even if you're watching, if you've reached this place in the video, then you're definitely being deliberately conscious with yourself. So please go ahead and feel invited to explore how ancestry work might be a fun path for you. Consider one of my suggestions. If none of them have resonated, please feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you're feeling or thinking or asking, and I will do my best to reflect to you what feels resonant in the moment to say. So with that, I have some links in the description. If you would like to have some deeper dive work, there's some links in my link tree. My course is up. You may check that out if you feel inspired. And if you would like to hear more about being involved in one of the synchronicity flow-based containers, please go ahead and write me an email with the word flow in the subject line. I look forward to connecting again soon.